we'll just start with Legal Talk with Mohit Suri. Today we have our partner in Dubai, AAA, Amira Sakar, managing partner, Mr. Ahmed Abdulshafe, and we have Ms. Sara with us. We are going to be talking about IPR, the patents, copyrights, trademarks, trade secrets, how they are registered and how they are dealt with in India and UAE, and how they can affect our business. Okay, Mr. Ahmed, without much ado, let's just start the program because we have our audience waiting. How much time does normally a registration of a trademark take in UAE?
First of all, it doesn't take a long time, and it depends actually if we have a registration before globally or it's going to be the first time. Okay. And regarding to the topic today, Mr. Mohit, I'm actually I'm not the expert in the IP matter, so I brought with me my colleagues, Mrs. Sara and Mrs. Sally, who are very expert in IP and very technical.
Hi, Sally, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
So I believe my colleague Sally and Sara will be more capable to tell you the exact and even the progress and everything. So I will
Before
leave
you joined us, me and Sara were actually discussing about IPR rights and their valuations. So
exactly.
Anyways, so how long?
And Sally also is an expert in this field, okay. So going to help you and we can listen to a wonderful information from both of them today.
Sure. Okay, Sally, how long does typical trademark registration take in UAE?
Typical.
Yeah.
First of all, the trademark, I have many shapes. As you know, there are samples, logos, different colors, names. So each company usually try to protect its sample and prevent others from using this trademarks. So they are looking for protect these trademarks inside the market. Usually, well-known trademarks doesn't need to be registered inside UAE to be protected. Okay. Yeah. But the ordinary trademarks, they have to be registered. Before COVID-19, it was taking nothing. We are talking about 2-3 months. It's going to be ready for publishing.
Okay.
But after COVID-19, usually, you know, the progress are now different. They're taking a longer time now. So we are talking about approximately between 6 to 12 months. Then the publication will take 30 days.
Okay. Okay, so normally are the trademarks challenged very frequently in UAE, or like most of them go through straight away?
To be honest with you, it's depending on the trademark itself. Okay. Yeah. So if it's similar to another trademarks or a well-known trademark, for example, yeah, it's going to be objected after the publication, of course. We have a lot of agents of trademarks inside UAE. They are covering the whole world. So yes, it's going to be objected for sure. But if it's unique, if it's well identified, recognizing the enterprises well, so there's usually no objection in this, area.
Perfect. So what about patents? Do you do patents in UAE?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
What's actually, and how long does it take?
Actually, you know, patent, usually you file it and you wait. Okay. Yeah, everywhere. Yeah. So usually it's going to take between 24 months to 4 years. Yeah. And this is between this and that. Yeah. Yeah. It's taking long. Even in the WIPO, in the PCT itself, it's taking long. You know that the procedure of patent is different than the procedure of trademark. It needs certain examiners and expertise to check that this invention is unique. This invention is applicable. This invention has a prior art. You know that. So it's going to need a team working on this one to find out if this patent is really ready to be commercialized, and also this one, is it unique? or it's copying the old patents or something like that. So it's
Okay.
needing a long procedures. And here in UAE, recently, they amended the law. So they're making the procedure faster. And
Okay.
they are already cooperated with the patent office in Southern Korean to help them, and also in Australia to help them examine the patents. So
Okay.
usually now the procedures will be faster.
Will be faster.
Yeah.
Okay. In India, actually, what we use.
Mr. Mohit, also,
Yeah.
Mr. Mohit, I would like to add also, and there is a reason behind making this matter a little bit long, because they have to double check. There is no something very similar to this invention, or it's like a copy paste. So aside than the examination from the technical point, as my colleague Sally said, there is also some legal points. They have to double check whether anybody could claim any rights in this, and they give some notification time to make sure, because if they give the certificates, they are fully aware that this matter will be very complicated later if somebody else in another country in the world say, no, that is matching, this is copy paste, something like that.
Okay.
It will become very complicated from the legal ground. So they are careful, they take some time to examine and double check.
What about trade secrets? Are they protected in UAE?
Yeah, sure. They are protected in UAE. Actually, they are protected under the Patent and Industrial Designs Law, and they are clearly mentioned in the new version of the law that is published recently. They are mentioning that the confidential information related to companies, which are very important assets to this company, should be protected, and there are certain procedures to protect this information, and how usually non-disclosure agreements, certain things like that similar should be signed from the employee or anyone working with the company related to those trade secrets. So sure, they are protected and well protected.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's very clear and very crisp. Okay,
Yeah.
let me just tell you about how it works in India. We actually never used to have.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just, of course, it's. I think my colleagues will be able, like, to be more precise in this point. But if I'm not wrong, in 2020, the DIFC courts of, let's say, the DIFC has been enhanced the IP law. Is that correct? So, because before probably it was not very clear. So also there was a lot of confusion for some clients having companies registered in the DIFC, and they didn't really know if there was like a specific law for the trademarks registered through the DIFC. Well, actually, it's only one federal law. Am I right, Sally?
Actually, it's one federal law.
Exactly.
Regarding the intellectual property, it's one federal law.
Okay, that's the way it is everywhere in the world, actually, because it's the country which protects your intellectual property rights rather than a state or a free zone. So that's one very important point cleared. So let me just tell you how it works in India. Actually, till 2014, we never used to have a computerized IPR registry. So at that time, it was free for all. We had filing offices in Delhi, we had filing offices in Mumbai, we had filing offices in Chennai and Calcutta, and things were taking very long. But ever since this whole process has been computerized, of course, we had teething troubles when it was initially done, because many of our old applications suffered and they were actually lost or delayed beyond a point. But now it's become very smooth, though most of the trademarks and most of the patents and most of the trade secrets are always challenged. That's the procedure which is followed here. Once you file, there will invariably be a challenge, even if it's very similar or not. That's where the importance of a lawyer comes in. Is it very important for a lawyer to file even in UAE, or it's different from India where challenges are less and anybody can file?
Okay, so anyone can file a trademark or a patent
Okay.
without any help.
What about UAE? Can anyone file, or do you have to go through a lawyer?
Usually you can go by yourself, to be honest with you. But usually, because they are not familiar with the procedure, usually they prefer some expert to help them. So the IP agent will be ready with he already familiar with all the requirements, with all the procedure, with the charges and everything. So he's gonna make your life easier. That's it.
What if there is an objection?
You can go and try it by yourself.
Yeah. What if there is an objection? Do you need a lawyer to defend it, or you can do it even yourself?
No, you can object by yourself also. But if the other side or the owner of the trademark reply to this objection, now there's going to be a decision from the registrar. He's going to sit with both sides and listen to them and to take a decision, even to register this trademark or to refuse to register it. So usually also the owner of the trademark prefer to have a lawyer in this stage to defeat him well.
Okay, that sounds very good. And I have a very interesting question for all of you now, because this is, if I have to defend, if I am Nike and I see that in UAE a lot of fake shoes or clothes of my brand are being sold, how do I get hold of the perpetrators, and how much fine, and how can I recover the money that I lose from all the counterfeits?
Can I answer?
Yes, and I have and I can add something after Sally is going to say.
Okay.
Please.
Sure.
Actually, our field here as a department of IP, we're working on this issue. We are facing on daily basis a counterfeited goods, okay, for well-known trademarks all over the world. So it's our duty, our job to protect our customers, first of all, and also our clients. So usually we are working with the police department or the DED, okay, who is usually depending on us to report this counterfeited products, and usually they are raid actions, yeah, to go to those warehouses, to go to those areas where they are storing this counterfeited products, and usually they are seizing these products with the help of the police, and then they're going to destroy this products. And usually if the owner of the trademark wants to compensate against this damages or his losses, he can file a civil lawsuit asking for compensation.
Okay, but how long does that take? How long does the compensation take? How long does that civil suit for compensation take?
The procedures now are not taking so long. So we're talking about between 6 months till 12 months.
Okay, that's very fast. That's very fast.
Yeah.
The good thing about the IP department and AAA and software advocates here in Mohit is actually we are not only registering the trademark. That's it. Yani we have another team is like investigators. So those investigators actually take caring of how to protect the trademark later. And we do have some investigator on the field itself. They are double checking the goods and something like that. And they report to our client. And they said that we have a specific shop in a specific area who is actually doing like this one. And they are doing something even more. They are buying those fake products, and they got some receipts to prove that this is a fake product from this certain shop, and we report to our client. And if the client, we got an instruction from him, we start a legal case, and which actually built it in 100% on very solid legal grounds. So that's why most of the cases, to be fair, I can say the majority of the cases we started in AAA year are winning cases, because we built it and we start our legal evidence from day one.
Okay, let me tell you how it goes in India. If I have to enforce against a fake product being sold in any market, I have to approach the High Court. They will appoint officer of the court who can go with us, and direct the police to assist us in raiding. If that happens, during the raid, all the products are seized. In addition to that, we can actually register a criminal case against the person for cheating because he's selling our products as real, and also for breach of trust because he's cheating the customers and breaching their trust by providing them substandard or products that they did not want to buy. And then, of course, we can also go for civil suit, but civil suits in India are not very effective because they take a very, very long time. So it's majorly on the criminal side. But it's very effective if you approach the High Court and they direct that action has to be taken, and the police assists you, and the action is very quick at that time. You just go raid, you can just take over all the stuff in your presence and get everything confiscated and then start the legal action. So it's kind of a bit different from UAE, because there I think most of these people are not, especially in the older part of UAE, Dubai, what I see is they're not afraid of criminal action as far as selling the counterfeits are concerned. That's the reason why they are able to sell it so openly. In India, it's become difficult. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, but regarding to the process, I believe it's quite similar in a certain limits. Yani, as you exactly said, we do have such a process. If we're going to find a fake goods, we have to report this to the police, and the police are going to go immediately and arrested the goods and to find out if it is in a warehouse, it belongs to who, and they're going to check for sure whether the owner of those goods did that on a good face or in a bad face, because some of the people, by the way, get deceived in somehow, so they are not aware. They are not aware that this is fake in somehow, and some kind of investigation, police investigation, should happen on an immediate basis to find out who did that on a bad face, and he will be arrested, and will be liable to a criminal liability plus a compensation of civil liability as well. So we have a similar, and I believe, and I think Sally and Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is a global, let's say, global process happened based on the intellectual property in United Nations. So I believe, Mr. Mohit, every country has to be sticked with such a process and somehow to protect the intellectual property. Am I right in that?
Totally agree with you. Yeah, exactly.
Sally, I will come back to you on the next question, and this is a very interesting one. Supposedly, I have my trademark registered in India. I want to register it in UAE now. What would be the procedure to be followed for registering it in the UAE?
Sorry, just let me repeat your question to
I have my trademark is registered in India. Now I want it registered in UAE.
Yes.
What do I have to start afresh, or do I get any advantage from my trademark which is already registered?
Usually the ordinary trademark, it's not protected inside UAE unless it's registered. Okay. To forbidden anyone to register similar trademark, real trademark, it should be registered. Especially if it's not well known, there is no extra layer of protection for this trademark. So usually you're gonna come to and file a application for registration of a trademark in UAE, and you can support this application with the formal registration. If you have a different registration in many countries, you can support this as it's already acceptable as a trademark. But if there is any registered trademark similar to your trademark, it's gonna be easy to say it's gonna be rejected, because there is already registered trademark similar to this trademark. But if there's no similarity, there's nothing related to this trademark, it's gonna be registered smoothly.
Okay. See, what if I have been using it before the person in UAE? Would I get the priority, or would the person who's already registered a similar trademark in UAE get the priority?
Yes, but you have to file a civil lawsuit to prove it. You should prove
Okay.
it then.
So
Prove
I
that you are
cannot
very-
prove it to the registrar. I have
No, the registrar won't do anything regarding this issue. He's gonna ask you to file it in the court as a civil lawsuit. Yes, to decide which use it first and who has the right to register it.
So now the next question is very personal, and I know that there is no one answer to it. How much does it cost to register my IPR rights like trademarks in UAE? And how much would this civil suit cost? Are there government fees involved, and are there your typical legal fees involved in that?
You mean the process of registering a trade license?
A trademark. Supposedly, I want to
Trademark.
register a trademark. What
Okay.
would be the government fees and what would be the typical lawyer fees for that? And if there has to be a civil suit, what would be typical lawyer fees and government fees for that?
No.
Actually, we can answer you about the official fees.
Yes,
The official fees are clear.
Sure. Yeah.
That's why I
The
said
first
it's a very
part-
interesting question.
The first part of your question, we can of course tell you, but the second part, it depends. Yani, I cannot tell you, Mr.
I know
Lee,
that. I understand that, but
what
I'm
you're going
asking
to-
about
what is your professional fees? I
typical
cannot.
indicative fees.
But we have a competitive fees, to be honest with you. Our professional fees are really competitive.
Indicative fees.
But
I know. See, for any legal matter, the fees cannot be told and cannot be predicted lump sum. I understand that. But yes,
And
there
it's
are
different. And it's different between a matter to another matter. There is something.
Because I'm from lawyer to lawyer. And from lawyer to lawyer. In the same firm also, if I want Mr. Ahmed to appear, or if I want a junior lawyer to appear, there would be a different fees. But yeah.
And also, if it's a simple registration without objection, or there's objection, there's a civil lawsuit included. So it's actually varies from trademark to another.
Yes.
There's a simple procedures, there are other need more work. So it's varied, to be honest with you.
Okay, what are the government fees typically for the registration of trademarks?
Yeah, government.
UAE is
And
a
approximately
little
cost.
bit expensive, but I can't tell it's between you. I don't know in dollars. I'm gonna say in UAE. Yeah,
It's okay. It's perfect.
yeah, it's between 2,000 to 4,000 dirham.
Okay, that's the official government fees.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's
yes.
between $500 up to $800, something like that.
Okay. What about
Equivalent to dollars.
what about the court fees in the case of civil suits?
Actually, it's gonna depend on the amount of your asking for compensation. Usually, how amount of money you're gonna ask, they're gonna take a percentage. Okay.
But if I'm just going for the registration of my trademark over another registered trademark in UAE, in that case, because
See,
I'm
they
not asking for
usually-
any compensation in that case.
Yes, they usually calculate the court fees based on the claim amount itself. And they started with 6% from the claimant amount, and the maximum claimant up to 40,000 dirhams. 40,000 dirhams, it's approximately like $9,000, something like that.
Okay, perfect.
And this is the maximum, by the way, regardless how much the claimant amount, maybe it's going to be 1 million or 10 million or 100 million. The maximum thing you should pay as a government fees is 40,000 dirhams only. And by the way, it's totally refundable. So if the claimant files a case and he won it, the defendant has to pay back the full fees.
Perfect. That sounds
Yes.
very good. Anything you want to add to it, Sarah?
Well, for me, I'm more interested in my own question, the one I raised at the beginning.
Okay, so you can ask your question and I'll address it to you in front of Mr. Ahmed now.
Actually, I was discussing with him.
Sarah, please. Be kind with us, Sarah, please.
No, I told him that I'm more into international law, but for IB, our colleagues are the one really specialists. And I was telling him that a couple of weeks ago, I think I did not discuss that with you, Mr. Ahmed. I was having a meeting, and some of the people with us in the meeting, they were discussing about some services that they were providing as lawyers. Of course, I already told him that I don't know them very well, so I'm not sure if they're real lawyers. But they said that they only provide one service into IP, which is to increase the company value through IP services. I mean, registering trademarks and doing it in such a way that they can provide funds to the own company for which they are giving the service. Of course, they were not giving any other information about it. So that was it. Like if you have any customer or any clients interested on raising funds, we can do it through IP.
See,
So I was like,
let me just explain this to you now. See,
Yeah.
because I specialize in international business transactions, IP does form a part of the valuation of the companies, but it's not that I register a trademark today and I start valuing it for my loan purposes. It does not work like that. It's more of a scam whereby probably he's just trying to take.
That was my own opinion.
Yeah, so probably he's just wanting to take the initial money and register, because valuation of IPR rights is a very technical thing. If I have to value your company on the basis of your trademark or your patent or your trade secret or other IPRs, you really need to be very valuable. You need to be a Nike or an Adidas for me to add that valuation to your company. You can't say that I registered 3 eggs as my trademark and now 3 eggs is worth $2 million. It's not going to be worth $2 million. So it was more of a scam, which I would project to you. And if you want to discuss more about valuation, yeah,
they were selling it very well because they were just asking for X
see,
percentage.
scamsters usually sell it
of
much
the
better than
value.
normal lawyers. So scamsters sell their scams much better than normal lawyers, because we are straightforward people and we want to take less headache and less responsibility. And because now in international markets, if you don't have an insurance, you can't even practice. So basically, it's come to a point where your clients will sue you if you make a false promise. So this is where this is where I come in, and I'm telling you, such kind of flimsy claims are of no use, and should not be wasted. You should not waste your time and resources on them. Though we have a lot of people in USA who actually run companies which buy litigations against brands, like they are trying to make money. They see the brands which would pay them to settle their litigation, and they would buy some of the litigations in the market. Even that is not legal, but yes, people are doing that. But that is still more sellable because they know how to value the trademarks or how to value the patents, and then they go in for the litigation and they buy the which is legal in the United States. So they buy the litigants' rights, and that's how they proceed. But this is not going to work. The valuation on the basis of IPR is something which is very old, and it's not going to work. And I'll surely join you guys very soon in Dubai, because we'll be coming down for the expo, and I think we can do much more discussion on valuations on international transactions then. For today, I should really thank Sarah and Sally for joining me and Ahmed, because we we both, I actually do not specialize in IPR per se, though IPR forms a very important part of international transactions, which is what I told Sarah before you guys joined in. But that's something which one of my colleagues, Amit, handles. And next time when I'm in Dubai, we probably can have a joint conference and we can see how international transactions or international IPRs can be brought to UAE, and how UAE can be used as a base for all GCC and the North American region. So I thank you all for joining me today. And it's been a very, very informative session today. And I look forward to seeing you again and with more interesting information. And I thank everybody who's joined us today. And if there are any questions, you can feel free to contact me and Mr. Ahmed, and we'll surely be responding to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and looking forward to have you here in Dubai.
Yes.
And maybe next
Sure.
time we will do this webinar together in our
Yes.
office.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
We'll be doing it together in Dubai. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
you.
See
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.